Morning, everybody. Wow, we got a lot of people here this morning. Whoa. Okay, so Kat, welcome. Phoenix, how are you today? Shelby, good morning from Montreal. Wouldn't we all want to be in Montreal? Although it's probably a little cold right now. Oh, okay. Time to turn my volume off. Let's do that. That would help. Sandy, welcome. And good to have you here today. Bobby, welcome. Kat, Phoenix, Willow, good morning. Helen, I want to see a drawing in the critique gallery this week, okay? I know that you did a really good job. Last time your drawing was kind of a tough one to draw. Uh, yeah, hands. I had a class on hands this week, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I'm being mindful. Somebody kind of reamed me a new one in the last live stream that I kept moving my mouth away from the microphone like that. So I'm going to try to keep my mouth near the microphone as best as I possibly can and not let the microphone. Doing this live stream thing is very strange. Like you have to lean back so your head doesn't get in the camera. And so it's not the most natural way to draw. Aurora, welcome. Dennis, welcome. Stein, welcome. And we have a beautiful Russian name that I have no idea how to pronounce. Nancy, welcome. All kinds of Melvin and Mary. All right, cool. So let's get to it. Ash is here. Dr. C is here. Sabi is here. Ismael is here. Chuck is here. All right, I'm going to drive everybody crazy if I go through everybody's names, but if I missed your name, Danny, Ace, I apologize for that. Let's get started. Now, this week at the School of Visual Arts, as you all know, I'm teaching two classes this semester. One is an advanced life drawing class, which we kind of had to tweak because it's Zoom. So yeah, we're drawing with models on Zoom, but I'm doing other things because drawing with models on Zoom is not the best. So I'm teaching them other things like composition and perspective and all that jazz. But in my Friday class, foundation drawing class, what we're doing there in the fall semester is basically how to draw the figure. And we break it down to many, many different things. And this past week was already about, I'm repeating something here. It was about how to draw hands and how to draw feet. So today I just want to draw one hand for you. But before we go there, let's talk about some basics. So this is my sketch pad. Okay, so let's just get the pencil and the pad out of the way because I know newbies kind of always ask me what I use. And look at this pad. It was like dragged behind like a school bus or something. Okay, so this is drawing simple, Strathmore, simple, 80 pounds, simple, 11 by 14. You can buy this pad anywhere they sell art supplies. It's really a no-frills pad, and it's a 400 series. Okay, you don't have to use this paper, but I like this paper. And just to kind of get this out of the way, because I know a lot of newcomers always ask me, what pencil am I using? I'm just using one pencil, and it is the Prismacolor Colorase pencil. Is it the best pencil in the world? No. Hey, Frankie J. Is it a good pencil? Yes. It doesn't matter what I think and what is good for me. You have to experiment and figure out what's good for you. So this is my sheet. And this was the hand that we started with when I was teaching how to draw hands this week in class. And so when you draw hands, it's not going to happen today on the live stream, but when you draw hands, it's imperative that you incorporate the forearm. It's like when you are, hey Dennis, it's like when you are drawing a head. You never want to draw a face without a neck. It just looks so weird, okay? So when you draw a hand, I'm being a stickler. I like to teach drawing the hand from the elbow to the wrist, and that is basically one bone. It's your ulna. It's your ulna bone that comes down from your elbow and it comes down to your wrist, and it's kind of a straight line, although there are no straight lines when we draw the figure. And so we think about drawing the forearm into the wrist. The wrist is a box, and then we start the hand. So the hand for me is very much a box. And what you see over here is you see a little bit of the side plane of the hand, okay? And then we have the top plane of the hand. Now that side plane and top plane, I'm going to draw. Don't worry, I'm not just going to point all morning here. The side plane and the top plane, it doesn't always happen in terms of a surface plane shift where the light and shade shift. It usually happens somewhere different. It depends on the light source. So once you draw the forearm and you think of the wrist as a box and you draw from the elbow, which is your ulna bone, to your wrist, that kind of straight line, gravity is going to pull down the muscle of the forearm. Then you pivot across. I'm smudging all these other drawings here. Then you pivot across to your knuckles. Okay, so there's a pivot there, and it happens on the palm side of the hand as well as the back side of the hand. So this would be the pivot for the palm side of the hand. Okay, then what I like to do when I teach how to draw hands is I don't like to draw individual fingers like a glove. I like to draw all of the fingers together like a mitten, okay? This is the most important thing that I'm going to teach you here this morning, and that is if you are having trouble, this is really more of a basic how to draw hands thing. This isn't like an advanced thing. But yeah, okay, with that being said, when you draw hands, if you struggle with drawing hands, it is so much easier for you to draw all of the fingers together in the beginning versus drawing them separately. I just find that people get better results when they do that. So same thing over here. We drew the back of the hand. If you subtract the thumb, the back of the hand is a box. Okay, Truffles is acting really weird today. She has this like bone and she's walking around the house and her hair is up and she's jumping on and off the chair. She's trying to hide the bone. Maybe we'll say hello to Truffles a little bit later. So think of the hand without the thumb. What I like to do, this doesn't mean you have to do this, but what I really like to do is to draw the back of the hand first, then the fingers together in one mitten shape, and then the thumb. Okay, I like to draw the thumb last. It just works for me. I don't know why. Like, it's the same thing with the body, with the figure. I like to draw the torso first. Some teachers say, no, don't do that. You got to start with the head first. You do what works best for you, okay, after you experiment. So I'm looking at this hand and I'm trying to find the box before we see the thumb. And then here's my pivot that wraps around the knuckles. Okay, and now here's the other thing that I like to do, and this is how you draw the hand as a mitten shape. You pretend that you are seeing angles at the fingertips. So fingertips, angle down, and that's how you draw the mitten shape for the hand. Okay, you see what I'm doing over here, how I'm not drawing the fingers separately, but these two fingers, I'm kind of grouping them together. Okay. So really, really important. And I'm going to repeat myself multiple times here today. Try your very best to draw a part of the forearm because just like the face, you don't want to draw just the face. You want to draw the head. Head means head, neck, shoulders. Your drawing is just going to be so much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Yeah. Donuts and cookies. That's like my favorite pastime. Now, let's look at this hand, okay? So this hand over here, again, the wrist is a box. The back of the hand is a box. Top plane, side plane, front plane, side plane. And then you go to your knuckles, which is your pivot line. And then angle at the fingertips. Cruise around with a gesture line. And now you've drawn all of your fingers together as a mitten shape. And then how do you draw your fingers? Well, then the next step is to look at the negative space in between each finger. Now, this is not for a long drawing. This is for like a 10-minute drawing. These were like all less than 10 minutes, like 8 minutes, 7 minutes. So remember, practice drawing shapes. So this little shape is a puzzle piece that inserts into that negative space. So if you can't draw that shape, you're never going to be able to draw that negative space. So that's my quick way to teach how to draw hands. And remember what we talked about last week in the live stream. That was the live stream from hell. And hopefully this live stream doesn't buffer. Always incorporate shape of shadow and line. Okay, your drawings are just going to be so much more visually pleasing, and you're going to be able to draw better when you draw with line and tone, and you're going to be able to draw better when you draw from a photo that has light and shadow. Okay, now a couple of other little tidbits here with the hand. Okay, and then we'll move on and we'll sketch the hand that you see there in the middle of your video. So there's another quick like little tip that you want to think about when you're drawing hands, and I call this the swan neck loop down. Okay, so your hand is the top. This is primarily on the top of your hand. So the top of your hand is going to loop like a swan's neck. Your first phalanx is going to loop down like a swan's neck. I grouped the last two phalanges together over here. The bones are called, each bone separately is called a phalange. Together, they're called phalanxes. Okay, so this loops down like a swan neck. Really pivotal to being able to draw a pretty looking hand. Now, you can see over here we have distal phalanx. Let's get the anatomy right. Proximal phalanx and middle phalanx. So these are the bones, and when you sketch out the bones of the fingers, they loop down on the top, just like that. Loop down, loop down, loop down. That's a really cool little trick for you to use when you're drawing fingers, okay? Now, where the bones come together, they kind of make a ball shape, okay, right over there. And even at the knuckle, you're going to have a ball shape when that proximal phalanx meets up with the metacarpal. Okay. Hey, Jonathan. Hey, James, Kristen, Phoenix, Travis. Hey, Travis. Yeah, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room are Mafia Fingers. Okay. Yeah, I always got to teach you what not to do, because what not to do is just as important as what to do. And what not to do is to draw these big, meaty fingers unless you're drawing a mafia character. So if you're drawing a mafia character, then it's okay to do this. So you don't want to draw these fingers that look like kind of cigars. You never want to outline the fingernail all the way unless you're drawing a mafia guy who's a mechanic who's working on an engine and there's grease under his fingers all the time. That's a different story for a different day. Hey, Karen. And try not to come across with these lines on the fingers that go across straight like that, okay? That's not cool. That just is more of a cartoony way to draw. So instead, think about being nice and loose and sketchy like this. Think about the swan neck loop down. Think about like your phalanges. Don't outline everything. And this was my line where I originally thought those fingertips were, okay? Now, on the back of your hand, I don't want to get too much into anatomy over here, but let's just recap. So on the back of your hand, you're really not going to have any muscle. These are extensor tendons coming down from your forearm. So the back of your hand is going to be a little bit more bony, and these extensor tendons lift your fingers back up. Okay, it's the palm of your hand where you're going to get more muscle. And it's really the thumb muscle, this big oval over here, okay? And then it's the muscles of the little finger. And then there's some little muscles in between your fingers and all that, but that's not important today. And that's really not that important for the artist in general, because what you're seeing primarily on the palm of the hand is fat pads and callus, depending on what type of hands you have, okay? So that's my quick go-through with the hands. So let's move this away. Let me put this down over here. So this was my quick sketch before. Now remember, let's go through the basics here. This is a really big hand for me. I never draw hands this big. I mean, this hand is 4 inches tall. That's a little crazy. I never draw hands that big. I mean, when I used to paint book covers, I used to, the hands would be like 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch. Yeah, so they'd be really, really small. And in class, I try not to have students draw this big. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more muscles than I'm talking about. I'm just trying to give you a quick, basic overview. I don't want this live stream to be about anatomy. I'm just trying to give you like the most important things here this morning. So with that all being said, let me kind of get the cobwebs out of my hands. Remember, before you start to draw, you want to scribble. Okay, scribble, 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 scribble. Now, people asked me last week on the live stream, does your hand hurt? How do you draw when your hand hurts and all that? Does your hand hurt ever? Sometimes my hand gets like really, really tight, and today it's really, really tight. So when it's tight, you can stretch it. There's things that you can do. And for me, if you've been with me, Deuce is mine from Ethiopia. Welcome. That is so cool. So let's get started here with this hand. Now my pencil's kind of dull, right? I just scribbled, and so now your first line on the page. Let me see, is my head going to be in there? First line on the page, you kind of want to see that first line, okay, is going to maybe be that pointer finger. Okay, and now you do that line and you're like, okay, do I have enough room on my paper to draw? Let me move this aside so my camera can focus a little bit on the black that I have around my white paper. So when you okay, here's a side note. When you photograph your drawings, when you photograph your artwork, it's important that you have something very dark near the white paper. Because if you do not, what happens is the white paper starts to look darker and darker and darker. So when I don't want to move my camera right now because it would just mess everything up. But around my paper is black foam board. And when I photograph white paper, my drawings, I try my very best to get black around the white paper. So the camera has more of a balance. Watch what happens. Okay, this is just like a little side note here. Watch what happens when I take this sheet of paper and I put it over the black. The paper just got darker, didn't it? Now let's move this paper away so my camera focuses more on the black and the white, and my paper just got lighter. That's important. So let's get back to the drawing. I have a semi-dull pencil here. And so I'm looking, and let's start here. So remember, start nice and light. See if I can do a drawing today for you. So when I draw the figure, I do not like to use the angles, okay? Hey, Mecha Art. I do not like to use the angles when I draw the figure, but I'm a big fan of the angles with hands, and I'm a big fan of the angles with portraits. Feet are very organic, okay? They're not that angular, just the toes. Now, again, this drawing is huge. Okay, so that's how I'm starting. I'm just doing some angles, and now I'm just going to kind of dive in, take a leap of faith, and go to the other side. Now lean back when you do that. I've got to be careful that I don't... Oh, please don't tell me that this thing is already buffering as I get into the drawing here. I don't see it buffering on my end, and I have it live up on my computer. But you let me know, okay? So take that leap of faith and just say, okay, where is the width of the hand? And so a member of my website, drawingtutorialsonline.com, asked me about targets. Targets are these 4 lines that I just put down. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, how big do I really want to make this drawing? And so also in combination with proportions. So I'm putting these lines down, okay? And so I'm just going to go through the buffering. If it buffers, there's nothing I can do about it. I have really, really good internet. All of my bars are there, and I just don't understand why it's doing this. It could just be Saturday morning. So I'm just going to draw, okay? And then we'll see what happens with all of this. Let me just see one thing. Actually, just bear with me for a second. I didn't do anything fancy when I set this up. Let me just go to my settings. Okay. Okay, just looking at my settings. Just one second. Okay, stream. It's just 1080p. It's 70 frames per second. Okay. All right. How are we doing? Okay, it's working. Buffering here too. I'm going to try something a little different here. Okay. A little frustrating. I'm going to draw. All right. So, yeah. All right. Let's just do this. So now I just talked about targets. I'm trying to place that hand, and let's just get a little bit of the wrist. Okay. And it's bearable. Fine. Okay. This sucks. You know, if this is going to happen, this is really not going to be cool. So what I've done here is I've used angles. Okay. I'm looking at everybody. Hi, Ileana. Okay. Don't worry about it. You're fine, Matt. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the positive reinforcement. I need that because I really like the worst thing for me would be to waste your time as well as waste my time. You know, if this is going to buffer, that would really be terrible. Okay. So angles. Now, let's do what I talked about in the beginning of the video. So basically, beginning of the video, we talked about the knuckles. Okay. So the knuckles are this line that you really want to get. We talked about the hand being a box. So I'm going to draw the box out. Okay. So this is the side of the back of your hand. Okay. Really important. This is what helped me to be able to understand how to draw hands. Okay, now hands contort into many, many weird views, but this is basically how I like to think about the hand. Okay, so you have your side plane and you have your, in this particular case, the back of the hand is the underplane, but if the hand was turned upright, it would be the top plane. Okay, so that's your knuckles over here is that pivot line. And I'm going to go all the way across with my pivot line, just like that. You have to think of that like imaginary line. So now we come back, and you know this is a really thought out technique that gets results every time. So we use the angles to the fingertip, and now angle to that fingertip, then angle down to the other fingertip, kind of, and then angle down. Now, when I do that, I immediately see that from here to here is a little short, so I'm going to lift this, lift that, lift that. Now, remember, where's a scrap piece of paper? So this drawing is very light, and this finger, so sometimes I lean back and I look at the video and I look at that next to my drawing, so this needs to be taller. That's why that finger was short. So what am I doing here? We've been talking a lot about values. All right, so I am using no dark. So this is, I don't want to ruin this pencil point. Let me just grab this pencil. I'm not going super black with my first lines. See how dark that is? I'm working like this. So if I make any mistakes, I don't have to erase. And I made a lot of mistakes. Okay, I made a lot of mistakes, but let's keep going with it. So what we have are the fundamentals to being able to draw a competent hand. And it's just taken me forever to do this because I'm talking and trying to adjust everything. But basically what you have here is you have angles to the fingertips. This is just an imaginary line. So if you look at my fingers over here and I spread them out and I put a ruler, this is so difficult to do. I put a ruler, it's like that, okay? And then I can even go to the thumb. How am I doing this? So that would be an angle, okay? So that's what I'm talking about when I do that. Now, is it hard to see the box when you look at the hand? Yeah, a little bit. You know, but you have to pick the right view because I can't teach you everything about the hand in one live stream because your hand goes so much into contorted shapes. Like if I take my hand and I squeeze it, I can't show it to you. it becomes what I like to call a crushed styrofoam coffee cup, the back of your hand, okay? Now, let's keep going here. So now my next step would be to, I have my angles, I have the back of my hand. My next step would be to just pick a finger, okay? And what's the next step? The next step is to look at the negative space. Oh, that finger starts higher over here. Look at the negative space between the fingers, okay? So I'm going to just block it in very quickly here. If you think about it too much and you try to make it perfect, it's not going to work. So just do this a little bit quicker, okay? Loop down, swan neck. Okay, we have that fingertip, okay? And let's look at the negative space. Okay, I'm still using angles, and I see a triangle over here. So now I'm going to separate those two fingers. Again, it's so much easier to separate fingers after you have drawn them all together inside of a mitten shape, okay? I love the mitten word. It's like one of my favorite words. Now look, I'm going right to that angle where that fingertip is. Hopefully it's going to be the right length, and hopefully I didn't screw up. And now we're going to get the little pinky finger, which is a little bit closer to the knuckles. It's looking a little bit small to me right now. And so that I'm going to lift this up. This is almost going level. Remember, with the angles, you ask yourself the question, what's level? What's going straight up and down? And now we could take a leap of faith and just draw that other little last phalanx, the last two, on the pinky finger. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this. Okay, so that's my first go through with that hand. Is it perfect? Welcome, Viral Tomar from India. Great to have you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. It's cold. It's fall here. So it's fall, it's pumpkin time, it's raking leaves time, not winter yet. All right, so let's keep going. So now what we have is a lot of angles, and we have a lot of a line. So we need to add shape. If we don't add shape, then it's going to be harder to see everything, and shape is really, really important. So let's just put in some tone. So I'm using a straight up and down pencil stroke, and so as soon as I do the tone, I realize I need to lower the back of the hand ever so slightly. So I'm working very lightly. So this would be, hold on a second now. Hold on. This would be like a 5-minute hand gesture. Look at, that's an inch tall hand. Okay? 1 1/8 inches. The forearm, it's basically 4 inches tall. From the 4 1/4 inches tall. So that's tiny. This hand, look at this hand. It is 1.5 inches tall. So that's a hand gesture. You do that in like 5 minutes for practice. That's what we do in the classroom with the model. This is different. I'm working, this is huge. This is 4 inches tall. Whereas before the hand was like 1 1/4 inches. So everything just takes longer when you work like this. Welcome, Thailand, Haru. All right, so I'm going to just come back in now with my pencil stroke, and I'm going to just not press down hard. I want light pressure in the beginning in case I've made a mistake. So we've established that shape, and now we're going to come back and we're just going to do this little tone over here, because that's not light. It's a middle, light, middle tone. So this is the back of the hand. I'm just going to use a little bit of line over here to be a little bit more stylized. Okay, let's come down a little bit further. So in the middle of a limb, not at the joint, is where you want to crop. Okay, in the middle of your limb, not at a joint, is where you want to crop. So I want to extend the wrist down a little bit more. It's angled slightly. I have it angled the wrong way. You want to extend it down because it'll look more pleasing to the eye. If you crop at the wrist, it looks like the wrist was kind of lopped off, and that's really not pleasing at all. So now what we want to do here is we have the basics, all right, and now we just want to come on in. I'm going to get a sharper pencil. Okay, so resharpen the pencil, and let's just start to adjust. So that's our basic go through. So we can come on in, just like what we do with the figure drawing. Let me take the edge off that pencil. Brazil, welcome. Wouldn't we all want to be in Brazil right now having some beautiful Brazilian coffee? Okay, so we're going to come on in, and we're just going to draw. So knuckle. Okay, let's get rid of the straight line and force an S curve that goes into a convex line and into that tendon. Okay, now we come on up to this knuckle. Where is that knuckle in relationship to that line? Maybe that line, I forced it a little too curvy. So let's just adjust. I think I'm getting a little too fancy for my own good. And we are going to, hey, welcome, Julio. So we are going to get in. So we have this edge of the knuckle, this edge of the knuckle. I'm not pressing down super hard, and that edge of the knuckle. So from here to here, it's actually kind of short. All right. And so this is our ulna bone. I don't want to get too much into the anatomy, but the ulna bone is right there. And we're going to put in a little bit of tone over here. So let's go back up to where we were, and let's talk about the fingers. So we want to do a nice light line that curves in, and we want to do a line over here. So that line, this little line, welcome Russia, love it, is going to be where the top of the hand meets, top of the finger meets the side of the finger. Just this like little surface plane shift. I see like a little tone over there. So now this comes in. This is the next phalanx. And now we go and we loop a little bit. Let's force the loop into the fingertip. Notice I'm not outlining the fingernails. We're just kind of refining just a little bit more here. Okay. And now the underbelly of your fingers. Hey, Marie, welcome. The underbelly of your finger is going to droop from gravity. Okay, droop, convex line, and a little droop over here. So the underbelly of your finger is going to be the opposite. Now, let's go to this next finger. So now when we go to this next finger, we look at the negative space. I'm really doing this in slow motion. Okay, so I think slow motion is good for teaching. Hey, Carmela, Mexico. My mother-in-law is leaving to go to Mexico in January, right after New Year's. She's missing it. She usually goes there for like 2.5 months. So let's see here. So we're going to wrap over with a convex, loop down, look at the negative space, loop down with the swan neck, loop down into that fingernail, and I'm not pressing down hard. So now this is going to be pulled down by gravity. And then we come over here, pull down by gravity. Now, what we need to show is this little line over here. This is a little secret. Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. Yashvar Don. I can't say your name. I'm bad with words. I'm better with a pencil. So this joint of the two phalanges comes in. You got to show that little line, because that little line helps to show. Without that little line, it's so hard for the viewer to understand where is the side plane of that finger. Okay, so these fingers are cylindrical, much more cylindrical than boxy. Like this is a little bit of a box over here at that last phalanx, and it's a little bit of a box over here, so I'm doing some really light tone. Okay, and so now let's keep going. Let's not get stuck. And let's get this convex line at that bone. And now this little line is going to show that there is a surface plane shift, and we come on down. And now we're going to go across, and we're going to force a top plane. Okay, and we're going to come across like that. And now this little digit. Hey, Millie, welcome. Terry, welcome. Mr. Sanson, welcome. Now let's get this. So now what are convex lines? Milan. Cool. Convex line's going to wrap in. It's a fold of skin, fold of skin, fold of skin, fold of skin. Okay, don't overdo that. Wrap around, convex line into the, don't just draw on the outer edge and don't have any convex lines. So convex line rolls in and shows to the viewer who is looking at your artwork that this hand is, it's a box, but it's also round. It's both at the same time. I know there's this thing in meditation. I forgot what it's, duality. Is it duality? Hey, Aurora. Okay, you got it. I'm going slow motion here today. I don't know what my problem is. How far are we into this? We're already into this 35 minutes. Okay, so yeah, it's duality. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Don't judge me. The back of the hand is a box and it's a cylinder. It's both. It can't be one or the other. It's both. Box-like with surface planes, but they're also cylinders. And sometimes they're more cylindrical. It depends on the way that the hand is being modeled and how the hand is formed. Sometimes, like if I make a fist, how do I do this? If I make a fist, that hand is more of a box. If I go like that, kind of, my hand's more of a cylinder. Okay, so it can't always be one or the other. And plus it's polarity. Okay, I like that. I'll take that. All right, so let's come on in and get this box of that little pinky finger, and let's put in a little bit of tone. So I'm doing a lot of talking today because hands are a very complicated thing, and a lot of people struggle with them. So I'm trying my very best here on this live stream to give you information that will improve your drawings. You don't need a lot of information, but with hands, there's a lot of information. Okay, so we're looking at that little negative, okay? And now we loop up. We can make this finger thicker. If we do, we're going to make the negative space smaller, so it's a little bit of a compromise. And we could look at the negative space over here. So everything has got to be put in context. So if you're an animator and you're doing a quick little gesture drawing, or is the negative space really important? No. The expression of the hand is important. And yesterday in class, we were talking about the artwork of Alphonse Maria Mucha and how he poses hands. And hands could really make or break the character of your character design, your figure drawing, because most people after a while get pretty good with their figures, but it's the hands that never catch up to the figures because hands are tough. So I'm just putting in a little bit more shape over here. Let's sharpen the edge on this little finger. There's a negative space there that I missed, but I don't care. I'm going to keep going. We're going to put in a little bit of a side plane. Woodland Hills, California. Man, Chris, that sounds awesome. Okay, so let's keep going here. And let's come on down with that little finger. How's this hand looking? Oh, I don't know. This finger needs to be taller. There's a lot wrong with this. I got to let my ego go and just understand it's a teaching drawing, not a drawing from my ego. So it's not going to be really, really perfect. I would like to make it perfect. I most certainly would like to make it perfect. But as I'm looking at it right now, some fingers are a little short. So I'm looking at the distance from here to here. Okay, so I'm going to lower this knuckle. So this is going to be our first usage of the eraser. Okay, erasers, people use them too much. Who cares if it's not perfect? Let that kind of become texture. But I'm going to drop that knuckle. This knuckle, I'm going to drop it as well. So that immediately made the back of my hand a little bit smaller and created more of a tilt on my pivot. And I'm cool with that. Because to change the negative space over here, I could change it, but it's going to take forever. So let's just shade. Okay, shade that side plane. This part of that finger is a little bit more of a cylinder. Okay, I'm being a little bit of a brute with my touch here. And now let's take a step back. And let me look at some comments here. Can you please explain targets again? Okay, is it to determine the size? Sure, I'll explain targets. Where is there a scrap piece of paper? So, one second. So, if you are drawing the figure, okay, so let me scribble a figure here. Rib cage, pelvis, rib cage, navel, pelvis, head. Now you're like, oh, where are the legs? Where are the legs? You could say, how do I want these legs? How do I want these legs? So you can say, is this where the bottom of that foot is? So that's a target. And then as you draw, you draw this leg, and you say, is that where that leg is? So you lean back. And then you're like, no, I'm sorry, this leg's too long. I'm going to raise that line. So that's a target where you're trying to figure out the length of things. Now, if you want to figure out the arm, okay, so you have your arm and you just put a little dot there for your elbow and you just leave it. You just live with that for a little while. And then this one, you can say, is that where that hand is? So, and then is this where the top of the head is, or does the person have a mohawk and their head is up here? Okay. So we have on this piece 5 targets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that bottom of that foot's a target. Okay. So that's targets. And what is really good about it is that you can do a target and it's so light that you don't even see it. So you don't even have to erase it. Okay. So if you go to my Instagram, and I have links for my Instagram in the show more part right underneath this video, you'll see a lot of my figure drawings on my Instagram page are very gestural in the classroom. Not as of late, because I'm not really drawing the model in the classroom, but in the past when we were in college. Yeah, so totally. You want to look at some of those figure drawings on my Instagram. And if you want to see the drawings bigger, you can go to MatthewArchambault.com, and I have some bigger drawings there. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to show you my targets. Okay. Okay. So now let's come back and let me go over this hand a little bit more. So we're going to do some very light lines at the folds of skin. Keep it light. Keep these lines light. Notice I haven't even gone near my fingernails just yet. Okay. Now let's keep these lines light because we don't want Mafia Fingers. Okay. This is a convex line that against the Mafia. I don't want to get hit tonight. I don't want to have a horse head in my bed. So I love the Mafia. God bless. Okay. Sorry. So let's come on. I really just got to shut up. So now this is lower. And let's just do, this is your your metacarpal's on the back of the hand. I'm just putting some tone over here. I'm being playful with it. Let me just glance at some comments. Okay, cool. Yeah, you got it. How to start drawing? Oh, just draw. Okay, I know that's a really generic answer, and I'll break it down a little bit more for you. When you are learning how to draw, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. 10 other teachers on YouTube will say I'm wrong, and who cares? It's my opinion that you have to draw the subject matter that you love. Okay, so I love drawing the figure. So I could sit down and draw the figure. I'll never get bored of drawing the figure. If I had to draw, say, like a cityscape, I might get bored of that a little bit because I don't love drawing cityscapes. Okay, so now let's keep going with this. So it's a very blocky hand. And let's just do a little bit of this extensor tendon. So a little bit of information. Let me just try to draw a little bit faster here. So let's do a little bit of tone. I'm going to be a little tonal with this here this morning because I can draw faster with tone right now. And we have another tendon. Another tendon. Don't overdo the tendons. Let's lower this. A softer edge. This is also, yeah, it's a tendon rolling in, so it's a little cylindrical over there. Let's keep blocking in. I'm using a soft touch. I'm really just trying to get rid of white paper, okay, because white paper is just, yeah, get rid of white paper. Put in value. Let's come on down. We don't want to break this drawing at the wrist. We want it to feather away, soft and light, even with your line. It depends on how do you resist the urge to start with heavy lines. So here's my thought process with pressure on the pencil. Is it a short 5-minute gesture, a 2-minute gesture, a 10-minute gesture? Press down hard on the pencil. A 1-minute gesture, press down hard on the pencil. A 3-hour drawing, press down light on the pencil in the first 10 minutes. Terry Gelbaum from San Francisco, welcome. You got it, Barbara. Anytime. Visit. I'm doing this on Saturdays. Like I didn't even know what I was going to draw today. Like I woke up and I'm like, what the heck am I going to do on the live stream? And so I'm like, okay, I taught hands, how to draw hands this week in class. Let me talk about hands, okay? Because people struggle with hands. Now, notice I'm leaving the thumb out. I don't want to deal with the thumb right now. We'll put that in last if we have time. Why? Just because it's going to kind of muck everything up. It's just we can put a line right over here. So that's our thumb, and then a line over here. So now I'm doing targets. So yeah, that's our thumb. Now that thumb is just going to be a tone, and we don't see any other part of it. So it just, you see what I mean? It mucks it up. Now let's keep pushing. I'm going to resharpen this pencil. Dragum Shanice. I hope I said your name correctly. Felicia. Jacksonville, Florida. I really would love to move down to Florida. You have no idea. Okay, so let's come on in and let's start over again. So now look what I did. I pressed down pretty hard. Okay, so now I'm going to come on in and refine. Let's press down harder. So this would take me a very long time to render. Let's press down harder. When you bring this finger into the knuckle area, don't end it with a straight line. Curve it. Okay? So curve this, no straight lines. Convex line rolls in. Curve this into the convex line up over here into that joint. And I can barely see that over there. So now let's talk about fingernails. Don't outline fingernails. It's like when you're drawing teeth. The worst thing that you could do when so Manthan Kaylee Car Art, I will visit your channel at the end of this live stream, okay? Or at some point today. At the end of the live stream, I'm going to have lunch. But I promise you, I'll visit your channel, okay? I can't do it now, but I'll visit your channel. No doubt about it. So when you're drawing teeth, when you outline each individual tooth, your portrait drawings get really teethy. It gets really, really choppy, okay? And yeah, so just don't outline your fingernails. Now, if you do decide to outline your fingernails, give them a nice, soft, light outline, okay? Remember, when we go back to my sketch from class, you see what happens when you outline fingernails? Your drawing becomes very, very cartoony, okay? Awesome. You got it, man. I'll check it out later. No doubt about it, because after the live stream, I usually got to get up off this chair when I'm sitting here and just go eat something. Welcome from Peru. So don't outline fingernails. So when you look at, I don't really have too many fingernails in these drawings. They're just demo drawings. So right over here, I did not outline totally the fingernail. Keep that light. Let's keep going here now. Let's push a little bit more, and then we can erase. So with this, it's a straight line. We've got to curve it. So it comes in, curves around. Don't end it straight. Curve it. Okay. This is a convex. Keep your lights light. We're rolling in. Loop down with the swan neck. I'm repeating myself. And now this rolls in. Okay, that it shows the top plane. And now this is very curvy down. Okay, gravity is going to pull down your fat pads of your fingers. pay attention to the edge, make that edge a little bit more complicated. And let's pull that down. Okay, this is much lighter than what I have. So again, repeat and rinse. So come on in. Let's use our value to make that finger a little bit darker. Okay, let's roll in over here with a convex line. Let's keep our negative space. Let's not destroy it. Okay. Yeah. Let's come on into this little pinky finger and try to force an S-curve and get rid of the straight line. Straight lines are not organic and they're not human-like. They're a technique, an angles technique. So we want to get rid of the straight lines as we progress with the drawing. And then over here, curve around. There's a shadow shape. I went a little too dark with it, but that's okay. So now let's refine the edge. Curve in, curve in. This pinky could be thicker, so let's talk about how to fix things. It could definitely be thicker. Does this eraser work? Yes. So let's just erase. Is this important right now? No. That's just for my ego. I want to make that a little thicker. Okay, and so now we're going to not end at the straight line. We're going to come on in over here and we're going to curve this. And I probably can move this finger over. All of my fingers are actually a little out of proportion. That stinks. I would have liked to have drawn them in proportion, but we can move them over. Let me look at some of these. Drapery, fabric. Okay. This isn't easy. It's easy and it's not easy. I get irritated with myself when I don't draw my proportions correctly the first time around, just because I've been doing this forever. And it's just irritating for me because I don't draw enough during the week. And if I drew more during the week, my eye-hand coordination would be better. But yeah, so that's a story for another day. So let's just refine the edge. And let's put in a curved line over here. Let's do a little bit more tone. Okay, maybe next Saturday will be fabric. A little bit of fabric. We'll do that. So now it's just a matter of, do you want to leave this drawing as it is and say, there's my hand, take it or leave it? Or do you want to keep going and adjust your measurements and add more value and add more tone and add more detail? It's totally up to you what you really want to do. Do you want to add some more form lines to make that finger, that little finger, more of a cylinder? For me personally, I have tons and tons of figure drawing videos all over the place. How you start a figure drawing totally depends on the time that you have to draw the figure. If you have, I would start a 1-minute gesture pose very, very different than a 4-hour figure drawing. I would start a 20-minute drawing very different than a 2-minute drawing. So it's really about time. And how much time do you have to work on the figure drawing? That dictates how you start. Okay, so if you only have like a minute, I might use this technique that I teach called the opposite C's. If I have 5 minutes, I might do the opposite C's, and I might also do continuous line. So there's really not one way to do it. If I'm doing, say, a 5-hour drawing, I might start with angles, but I don't really like to use the angles too much on an organic figure. So this finger's too thick. That stinks. I hate you, finger. Let me just look at these comments. So the key with the shadows is to, the sentence that I learned way back in college was keep your lights light and keep your shadows shadowy. Okay, so you have to see what I'm doing. I'm not making my lights too dark. Now, if I wanted to, I could make this finger here skinnier. If I really wanted my ego So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to get rid of that. So now our fingers are a little bit more together in terms of their size. Thank you for following my Instagram. I try not to have this live stream be too promoty. If you want to find out more about me and where I teach and what I do, just look at the more information in the video. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe so you can get notified when I go live. Somebody told me last week that YouTube doesn't send out emails when people go live anymore. I never used to get that, but what I do get on my iPad for people that I like to look at on YouTube is I'll get like a notification on the front of my iPad and telling me somebody's going live that I follow. So if you want more of this type of instruction, totally subscribe to the channel and you'll get notified when I go live. On your phone, you should get notified on your phone. Yeah, life drawing's where it's at, but right now life drawing's really hard. Thank you everybody for watching this. Yeah, Argentina. Oh my God, awesome. If I'm missing your comments, I'm sorry. Like when I look up, I have a light hitting my face so I don't look like a monster, and so it's front light. And yeah, my eyes freak out when I look, and then I'm looking at the comments, and my eyes like are freaking. I've got 3 glasses. Okay, so these are my glasses for up close, and I'm a little too far from that screen, so it's a little out of focus. I have intermediate computer glasses, and then I have these glasses for every day. So getting old sucks. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's keep going here. So now let's try to push a little bit more. I'm going to just come on in. Let's do a little bit more with this fingernail. I got to reset my pencil. So your pencil, when you first sharpen your pencil, it looks like that. Okay, it's very, very pointy. And then when you draw on it, it goes flat a little bit. So when I take my pencil off of the page, I lose where it was flat. So I'll look at my pencil and I'm like, okay, I got to get that flat spot again. So that's an important little thing for me when I draw. I always want to make sure that I retain that flat spot. Okay, so let's come on in. Let's curve around with some more form lines. So don't leave the inside. You know, when I love my students at the School of Visual Arts, they're all very talented and they're a great group of people. One of the biggest challenges a lot of them have when they draw is they do not draw enough in the middle of the figure. So I'm constantly reminding them, draw more in the middle. What do you draw in the middle? Well, you draw the line that separates the light from the shadow, and you draw form lines. You draw anatomy, basically. Well, if I can tell you, when I go to faculty meetings at the college via Zoom, the chair of the School of Visual Arts wants all the students to be working with industry standard software, and the industry standard is Adobe. So the chair really wants the students to work with Adobe software. And there's a lot of pushback because people like other softwares, and there's so many different animation softwares out there. I'm not an animator. I was trained as a painter / illustrator, but it's my job to teach the animation students composition, color, drawing, and then they have their animation teacher to teach them timing and animation and all of that jazz. I appreciate that, Kat. How do you give that subtle shade to minor muscles, making it feel realistic with not random values? So what you practice is always having a value scale next to your drawing, okay? So you practice on a weekly basis matching values before you draw. How do you practice this? Okay, let me get my scrap piece of paper. So if you have a grayscale, and here's a value number 8 on this grayscale, try to match it. I've already gone too dark. Ooh, big hot rod just went by. So now let's match this value. It's lighter. That's so hard. Let's match this value. Ooh, nice Mustang. Okay, let's go a little darker. It's hard with paper because with paper you get these little specks of the texture. Okay. So yeah, you got it, Kat. All right, everybody. Let's see how far are we into this live stream. I think I'm gonna end this soon. Okay. So that's my tutorial for the day, and yeah. So don't forget. So if I wanted to, I could keep working on this hand for another couple of hours if I really wanted to push it. But that's my philosophy with how to draw hands. And just when you're drawing, just don't press down too hard. When you're doing these little fold of skin lines, okay, keep that kind of all very, very light. Okay, make sure that you're showing the side of the fingers and the back of the fingers. You could come on in here and you got it, Ace. Draw some form lines, put a couple more form lines in here. Okay, let's just do some shading in the light. You got it, Danny. And just looking. Shade down. So understand that this is a tutorial drawing and I can keep going with it. Maybe I will at a later time. Let's shade. This finger is not white paper. This finger is thicker. The thumb I'm keeping low contrast. You got it. Okay, let's close this live stream with troughs. Okay, let me go grab troughs, and that's my little hand drawing. So when I critique my own hand drawing, what do I see? I see my fingers are inconsistent, and my fingers are a little. Yep, that's what I see. I see that the hand is a little too big, and the fingers are a little too skinny. So if I wanted, if I had a very sensitive ego and I was insecure about my artwork, I'd sit here and I would try to make it perfect. But I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go and it's done. Okay. Let me go get troughs. All right. Troughs is going to work. Troughs, can you fix the hands for me? Let's put that tongue back in your mouth, Troughs. Okay. It's drying out. You want to say hello to everybody on the live stream? Look at the camera. Come on, Troughs. There you go. So say hello. Now, you want to draw a little bit, Troughs? What do you say? What do you sew? Okay, let's... I don't think that you can fix my thin fingers and my small little fingers, but maybe you can do like a little bit of shading, Troughs. Come on, get into it. Do you like to draw hands, Troughs? No? A little bit? Maybe? How about shading, Troughs? You like to shade? You want to try to... Oh, your paws are all dirty, Troughs. I got to give you a bath. Okay. Let's do a little. Okay, you're done. All right. So, all right, everybody. I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do appreciate how we got like a little stream latency going on. Troughs really thanks you. She's looking at everybody saying goodbye, and maybe what I'll do is I'll take these glasses off so I can look at your comments from far away. I hope you guys learned something. Oh, God, that's worse. I'm going blind. Ileana, thank you. Oh, my God, am I going blind? Getting old sucks. Enjoy youth. Maybe dog paws. I think next week we're going to do fabric. Aura, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. I think our stream is kind of going away. Nancy... You got it, Nancy. Danny, thank you for visiting. Chris Hommel, thank you. Yeah, he likes... Troughs is a she. She likes to draw paws. Troughs, you falling asleep? Dennis, thanks for coming. Millie. Organic Paul. Dog shading. Ileana, you got it. Dennis. Phoenix, thank you. I'll see you guys. I apologize if I'm not mentioning everybody's names. My eyes are freaking out right now. Millie Smith, Ash. You got it. Just practice drawing a simple hand and make sure the photo reference that you use for when you draw hands has light and shade, because light and shade is going to be Mary, welcome, and have a great Saturday. Karga. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks, Marie. Michael, Joel, thank you. Chuffs, let's get a little snoring in that mic before everyone goes away. Okay. I'll see you guys. Chuffs and I are going to go eat something. All right. See you later. Take care.